To upload a blob from your application to blob storage, you can use the REST API or you can use an Azure Storage Client library. There are client libraries available for several platforms. The client libraries wrap the calls to the REST API. As we are using .NET in this course, we will use the client library for .NET to access Azure Blob Storage. Let me show you now in a demonstration how to upload a blob to a container in .NET, how to get the connection string from the Azure portal, and how to check in .NET if a blob exists already in blob storage. Let's switch to Visual Studio. Here I've opened the Coffee Video Storage class of the Wired Brain Coffee solution. Now let's implement the Upload Video Async method. So let's go to the Solution Explorer and let's right-click on Dependencies and let's select Manage NuGet Packages. The Azure Storage Client library is available as a NuGet package. So let's go to Browse and let's search here for Windows Azure.storage. Here is the client library for working with Microsoft Azure Storage Services. Let's click on Install to install the latest stable version. I click OK in this dialog and I accept the license. Now the NuGet package is installed and we can use this library in the Coffee Video Storage class. The first thing that I do here, I create a new cloud storage account. I press Ctrl- to add a using for Microsoft.WindowsAzure.storage. The constructor of the cloud storage account has different overloads. One takes storage credentials. As you can see, a storage credential takes an account name, this is the name of your storage account, and a key that you find in the portal. Instead of using the constructor to create a cloud storage account, you can also use the static parse method of that class. This method takes a connection string and returns a cloud storage account instance. So let's use this parse method to create a cloud storage account. As we don't have a connection string yet, let's just take one as a constructor parameter in this Coffee Video Storage class. I press Ctrl- to create and initialize an underscore connection string field. Now we can pass the value of this field to the parse method of the cloud storage account class. On the cloud storage account, you can call the method createCloudBlobClient. This returns a Cloud Blob Client instance. So let's store this instance in a variable. The Cloud Blob Client itself has a method that is called getContainerReference. You can use this one to get a reference to a container. For the Wired Brain Coffee admin application, we want to store the videos in a container that is called Coffee Videos. As you might have seen, the getContainerReference method returns a Cloud Blob container. So let's store this also in a variable. Instead of hard-coding the container name here, let's cut this and let's create here a read-only string field in the Coffee Video Storage class. And let's call the field container name videos. I scroll down again and now I use here the new field container name videos. So far, there was no call to the server-side REST API, but now you can use this Cloud Blob Container instance to make calls. So you can, for example, call the createAsync method on this container to create the container, or you can call a method createIfNotExistsAsync. There are also other methods, for example, deleteAsync or deleteIfExistsAsync to delete the container. In our case, we want to create the container if it does not exist yet. As this is an async method, we need to await it. This method will create a container and the public access level will be private, which means public access to the blobs and the container is not allowed. But the createIfNotExistsAsync method has overloads. And as you can see, there is one overload that takes a blob container public access type. Let's use this overload to set the public access level to blob. So I use here the blob container public access type. I press Ctrl- to add a using for that namespace. And here you can see you can use of, blob or container. The access levels you learned about in the previous module. Let's set it here to blob to grant public read access to our blobs. There are two more parameters required, blob request options and operation context. You can just pass in null for these additional parameters. Now the container is created if it didn't exist before. So this is the first call to the Blob service. All the previous code lines didn't contact the server. Now as the container is created, you can use the container to get a blob reference. You see, there are different reference methods. You can get a blob, a page blob, or an append blob. In our case, we want to get a blob. You need to specify the blob name. So let's just pass in the blob name parameter of the upload video async method. The get blob reference method returns a cloud blob object. So let's store this in a variable. The cloud blob object has different upload methods. You can upload text, you can upload from a stream, from a file, or you can upload a byte array. So let's use this upload from byte array async method, and you can see it takes a byte array, a buffer, an index, and a count. So let's pass in the video byte array. We want to start at index 0, and we just upload the full length of that video byte array. As it is an async method, we need to await it. Great! Now you have implemented the upload video async method with the Azure Storage Client Library for .NET. Before we can see this upload video async method in action, we need to provide a connection string to the Coffee video storage constructor. Let's do this in the next clip.